I'm a real footy fan, so I was watching it.
Yeah, I know you.
Mhm.
Wait, how did you watch it? You got Paramount Plus?
I do have Paramount Plus.
You
Wow, what
Lord. I was trying
a
to illegal
rat.
stream it. I couldn't even get it.
What a
Well,
rat.
tough day to be a poor bitch, huh? Oh no, Northern Illinois is in overtime. I have to go watch. All right.
Only rats have Paramount Plus. So
Yeah,
that's a
shut up,
fact.
shut up. I like the new iCarly TV show.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows,
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run.
but it ain't about how hard you hit.
And I'd hit out the park, no question, with all due respect.
It's about how hard you can get hit.
And you might need, at some point in your life, a little massage on your ass.
And keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Moving Forward podcast. 2-week vacation, and we're fucking back. We're back off of an MSU basketball victory. Mel Tucker will be the head coach forever. He'll never leave.
He's gonna die in office.
Yeah,
He's like a Supreme Court justice. He's gonna die there.
you're fucking sworn in for life. I swear I saw Mark Antonio's body leave his. Like I saw his soul leave his body a few years ago. So
After
makes
that
sense.
Notre Dame game.
Yeah, when he had a heart attack and tried to die.
Yeah.
Basically. All right. Fresh off a game, huge win against Butler. One of the ugliest basketball games I've ever felt like I had to watch. It felt like it dragged on forever. It went 2.5 hours long. Fucking went forever. A billion fouls called. I was tweeting it all night. Before we get into the game, are the amount of fouls they call in college basketball a real issue? Because I'm starting to believe it is, because the pace of the game is impossible to watch.
I don't know. I'm not like, obviously you guys both play basketball. I've never played like officiated basketball before, but like as an average viewer who knows probably a little bit more than the average viewer, I guess, it feels, I don't know, doesn't feel right. It feels like they're calling too much ticky-tacky bullshit off the ball. Especially like I remember the Big Ten conference games last year. Like it's known as a physical conference, and it felt like they were calling everything under the sun last year. We'll see if it's the same way this year, but it kind of seems like it's trending that way. I don't know. Feels like too much, just a little too much.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's been really clunky this year, and it seems like it's been the last couple of years. Especially the problem for me is always the loose ball foul. Seemed like, especially in this Michigan State game, it was all over the place. It just slows the game down. It takes forever to make the call, figure out who it's on, and then it get it back started. It made the game drag on for what seemed like hours, when you can typically get a college basketball game in under 2 hours. This one took over. It slows the pace down. It makes everybody out of rhythm, which then results in worse basketball. So I've not been a fan of that, but that's been pretty typical of college basketball the last couple of years.
Yeah, especially the thing that, like Clayton said, that bothers me the most is the off-ball fouls. That's the thing that's been driving me the crazy. Like, just let them battle in the post. Like, you'll have your occasional reach in or charge or block or whatever, but they just call so many fouls on guys just trying to post up. And that's the part that's super annoying. They call a lot of travels, even though I think a lot are warranted, but it's tough. I don't know. It's pretty annoying. I just want to see a game that feels like it's like flowing, like just getting done. Like, I think the NBA has done a really good job this year on cutting back on fouls, and I'd like to see college basketball do the same thing.
Yeah, like you said, just it's a lot of big guys just battling for position in the post, and like let them do that to a certain extent. And then I also feel like I see a lot of like fouls on screens, like a ton. I don't know. That could just be me. I could just be crazy after watching this Michigan State game.
That's so typical of Michigan State basketball. Both ways,
Yeah.
they find a way to draw them and take them themselves. But to speak to the travel point you made, I think a couple years back, it was, I think our senior year of high school, they made like a rule change that really narrowed in on them picking up that foot before they take off. And nobody has taught anybody about this rule. And so you just see 10 travels a game. same exact move, same exact thing. The players always complain and say they didn't do it, but they do it every time. So it's just, there was some lapse in the basketball realm where the referees started calling this travel, but nobody ever told the players, and they still think they can get away with it, and it's just not the case. So it makes games real ugly, and somebody needs to teach them how to play. So, but that's my piece on the travels.
Yeah, the travels have been tough. But speaking of players who have learned how to play, a player that I've done the most 180 on, I think, ever in Michigan State history is Marcus Bingham. He is a pure defender of the paint. This is his realm, and his arms are longer than anything I've ever seen. I think they said he's like 7'1" now, maybe. His wingspan has to be at least 7'4", 7'5". The dude had 5 block shots tonight, 10 points, 8 rebounds. He played amazing. Max Christie's going to be one and done, so it'll suck to see him go. Gabe Brown has the green light to shoot whenever the fuck he wants. Like, he's just shooting at an unreal amount of shots this year. He took 10 threes this game. 10.
He took 10 threes.
Yeah,
it
he
felt
went
like
4 for 10.
It felt like Joey Hauser's bum ass took like 40.
He took 5, and he was 0 for 5, 0 for 6 from the field.
And what pissed me off about that is the announcers are like, oh, they always talk up Joey. They're always like, oh, the transfer kid, he talks about feeling like he was a freshman last year. He's a good shooter, good 3-point shooter, great passer. And then next drive, wide open look from 3, straight on, just brick. And, he's a human turnover. It looks like he's walking on stilts, and he has fucking like tree branches for arms. He has no idea what he's doing. I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely seems lost, but I don't want to be on the Joey Hauser tear him down train, because everybody in the country is going to be doing that, because he sucked tonight, and he sucked for a while. But it's just when you see a guy who shot 43% his freshman year at Marquette and then come in and can't even hit a good spot of the rim. He's finding every clank and every miss, air balls, whatever you have it. He cannot shoot the ball right now, and that's what he's supposed to do. So when he's already a liability as one of the worst playmakers I've ever watched in my life.
No, he's the best passer Tom Izzo's ever had.
That worst example of it
my mind.
Was he had Max Christie wide open in the corner, and the dude just dribbles it off his own foot. That's certainly the weakness of his game, but there's supposed to be some sort of trade-off with his ability to knock down jump shots, and I just don't see it. And he's completely lost any resemblance of the player he was at the beginning of last season when he was able to make some plays in the post. That is gone. Yeah. He doesn't even try for that anymore. So I'm not sure what happened to him. I think it's all between his ears. I think it's just he has zero confidence in himself, and I can't blame him because he's been so bad.
Yeah. Definitely the sore spot of the Michigan State team tonight. He played poorly. Just trying to think if anybody else really stuck out to me of playing.
Hoggard
had a weird night. He didn't play the best. Tyson Walker, I don't know. I think he's still trying to find his way, but the fact that he scored 18 points per game last night and he's only been averaging around 6, 3 games in, is a little alarming to me. He doesn't really look to shoot the ball all that often. I mean, I know Gabe and Max take a lot of shots, but still, he hasn't found his role yet. And another thing that's been bothering me is I've been a Malik Hall defender for multiple years. I've stood on this island that I don't think that he's that bad of a player, and I still stand by that. But I think that this captain shit is getting to his head. He's trying to do too much. All he needs to do is get to the basket, finish, and hit some open threes. And I'd be happy with what he does. He tries to create too much off the dribble. Mm-hmm. It's not his role. And he's just trying to do too much. And I'm a defender of him. I have been for the longest time. And he's definitely struggling. Whenever he puts the ball on the floor for too long, I feel like it's just a turnover waiting to happen.
Yeah. He tries to run through people rather than around them a lot of time when he tries to put it on the floor, is what I've noticed. And then I saw a couple times tonight where he was just shooting threes with a guy in his face. Like, I don't know. Malik, you're just not that guy to do that. And to go back on your original Tyson Walker point, sorry to diverge from Malik. I like Tyson Walker. I liked him tonight. I thought he was great tonight. I think he has to be the scorer, like the 18 points a game scorer he was last year. I don't think he has to do that. I think it's back to the Michigan State fast break where you never get a chance to relax. You can never do that because it wasn't there last year with Foster Lawyer and Rocker Watts running the point guard. And I saw tonight just glimpses of it was late in the second half where Tyson got a steal, saved it from going out of bounds, and was just lightning down the court, found Gabe in the corner, bang, 3. Like it was back to almost like, I guess the last time we saw that was Cassius Winston, where it's just super quick transition, run the floor in 2 seconds, find somebody open for a look. I don't know. I like him so far. He plays really good defense. And I think in my head, Tom Izzo probably told him he doesn't have to be that in this team. There's plenty of other people around him to do that. So I'm a defender of him for now.
I think Tyson Walker has another level that he needs to be as a scorer before we can reach any ceilings that has anything to do with a deep tournament run or a tournament run of any sorts for that matter. I think we need him around 12 a game. But I do agree with you. The pace that him and Haggard, although slow, he has a real emphasis on wanting to get up the court fast. And that's what Michigan State teams do when they are playing their best. So I do love what both those guys bring in pushing the floor. Tyson Walker, of course, much faster and able to do it at a higher rate, but he has impressed me, but he does seem a bit too passive, but also, we're 3 games in. He's gonna find his spot, figure out what spots are his to try and score. Because in those moments when Michigan State has those offensive like stalemates where they just trade
like when they were stuck at
stops.
22, when they were stuck at 22 points for forever tonight it felt like 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's when I'd love to see Tyson Walker try and create his own shot or get a pick and roll with Markey or get a pick and roll with Marble and see if he can create off of that. But I think he's got another level to reach, but I've been impressed with his play, at least this game, especially.
Yeah. One thing that I will note before we move on to Michigan losing yesterday, which I'm sure we're all excited to talk about, Haggard has lost some weight. He does look a lot more explosive than he did last year. His speed's a lot better. He's pushing the ball better, although the jump shot for neither of our point guards so far has looked like it's been there, quote unquote. But they have been doing a good job, both of them, being explosive and getting to the rim. So that part has impressed me. Moving on to maybe the highlight of my early week so far. The greatest Michigan team of all time, quote unquote, fucking idiots, lose to Seton Hall 67-65. Michigan shooting 3 for 15 from the field, from threes, losing to Seton Hall. So they're an abysmal 3-point shooting team. That's the main thing I took away from that game. Their point guard, Devontae Jones, not impressed with him. Even though he had 12 rebounds, he looked really bad at the end of the game. And Caleb Houston, although I think he'll be a top 20 pick in the NBA draft, he looked pretty bad last night. Really, really bad. And just to wrap this up before I let you guys say anything, Brandon Johns, fuck you, you piece of shit.
Yeah, he was bad. I'm looking at the box score right now. Yikes.
Yeah, I'll say Michigan should have won that game 10 times over. They had a clear mismatch with Hunter Dickinson. He was dominating that game for the first 35 minutes. And then for some reason, Jones decided that it was his time to take over when they had that lead. Up 11 or 9 maybe with like 6 to go. They just refused to give the ball to Dickinson, and I hate Hunter Dickinson as much as the next guy, probably more, but he is incredible, and especially against a smaller Seton Hall team, he was dominant, and they just went away from him and lost the game because of it. Even on the last several possessions, they had multiple times where Hunter Dickinson was asking for it in the post, and they just decided that Jones or Brooks or Houston or Johns, somebody wanted to take the last shot, and it did not work out in their favor at all. When you have a guy who's a National Player of the Year candidate and you just can't get him the ball, that's an issue. And Seton Hall just executed down the stretch, getting the ball to their best players, and Michigan could not.
Yeah, Dickinson shot the ball 11 times. Devontae
And was
Jones
extremely efficient.
Yes,
on all
8
of those.
for 11. And Devontae Jones shot it 10 times, 4 for 10, 40%, 33% from 3. Eli Brooks shot it 15 times. He's supposed to be kind of their go-to guy, their oldest player on the team. Oldest player on the team doesn't mean you shoot that many shots. I don't think Eli Brooks needs to be shooting that many times. But the thing I really want to highlight, Caleb Houston, probably I think he's a great high school player. He played 39 of the 40 minutes of the game. He was 1 for 9 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. He scored 4 points. 2 of those were free throws. And he also had 1 turnover, 2 fouls, and then only had 2 rebounds and 2 assists or 3 assists.
So he was just not.
So he wasn't very impactful on wasn't very impactful for the Michigan Wolverines. I'll ask you guys a quick question before we kind of move on, but I was talking to somebody who is a big fan of college basketball, and he was talking to me about last year's Michigan team. They had Isaiah Livers, they had Franz Wagner, and he said to me, he goes, Houston, Diabate, Buffkin, they're all supposed to be really good players, but will they make up for what those players who are experienced college players will make up for? And right now, although I think Caleb Houston coming into college is a lot better player than Franz Wagner, I think by the time that Franz left, I think Franz is a much better player. And we're seeing that now in the NBA. I just don't think these freshmen are ready to fill that hole. And I think that's why Michigan might be a little bit of an overrated team right now. I'm sure they'll figure it out as the season goes on, but I feel like right now, especially, they might be a little overrated, tad overrated.
Oh, did we lose Ben? I think they're definitely a tad overrated. Like Ben was saying, they weren't giving the ball to Hunter Dickinson down the stretch. And, that's something that they'll go back and film and say, listen, this is our best guy. He's got a mismatch. We need to be giving him the ball. I don't care if you're feeling it. I don't care, whatever. He's our best player by a long shot. And he was last night too. There's no excuse to not give him the ball. I think there's things like that they'll eventually figure out. And, with freshmen, it was their 4th game in the year?
Third.
They'll eventually third. Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Why did it say Michigan was 2-2?
They're 2-1. They're predicting another loss.
Yeah, I guess
soon.
But growing pains, maybe potentially, but you get probably 6-8 games into the season, and if Caleb Houston still isn't performing well, then you might start to get worried going into conference play that he's not the player that you were expecting him to be. And that's when I think you, as a Michigan fan, you might start to get super, super worried.
Yeah, I don't know if you're Michigan. I don't know if you're there yet. Houston scored 11 in their first game, 13 in their second game. I mean, he's an incoming freshman who's never played college basketball before. So I don't know if that's too much concern. I think you just I'm just kind of being hot take-ish a little bit, but because I hate Michigan, but still, Yeah. All right, let's move on and talk about the $95 million man. Mel Tucker, 10 years, $95 million extension from Michigan State University. It seems like everything is greenlit. It seems like that extension will be signed soon. I think they're pretty close to being able to do it on top of a $10 million football complex, which will be named the Tom Izzo Football Building, which is a little weird.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be called the Tom Izzo Football Building. I don't know why they didn't do anything basketball related for Tom, but he's a big football fan too. So a little bit weird, but first initial reaction, Clayton, how do you feel about Michigan State shelling out the $95 million to make Mel Tucker the highest paid coach in the Big Ten after 2 seasons with Michigan State?
After 2 seasons. I love it. I love Mel. I'll start by saying that. Also, I feel like I got to give a shout out to Matt Ishbia because,
basically paying the money.
Yeah, he's basically
I saw a tweet today saying, is Tom Izzo letting Matt Ishbia be a walk-on on the basketball team one of the greatest things that happened at Michigan State University?
He might be. But to get back to Mel, I think from in my eyes, what he's done, I mean, 10 years, 99.5 a year. That's a lot for a college coach. That's a lot. But from what I've seen out of Mel so far with what he's done with the program, obviously last year, COVID year, but they came out, they played 2 big games, got 2 big wins against ranked opponents, one being Michigan, a rivalry game. And I think that set the foundation for the culture that he's been building there at Michigan State. And I love what he's doing with recruits. I mean, just today, a recruit, a 2020 kid, or 2022, rather, sorry. I mean, Michigan State was in his top 5 with the likes of Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. I mean, you can't ignore
it was Alabama, Ohio State, Penn State, and Georgia. Then Michigan State was his top 5.
Yeah.
Elliott Washington the second, a 4-star DB, Under Armour All-American.
You can't ignore what he's been doing. I mean, even after his first year, he pulled really, really good transfers out of the transfer portal, practically out of nowhere. Given his first season and the record that they had in his first season, he's got something that players want to be coached by, if that makes sense. So I think, given how they're doing this season, we'll see if it transfers over to the future years. I think it's worth it, and I love it.
I 100% think it's worth it. Whatever it takes to keep him here and not lose him to the likes of LSU or UC or USC, I'll do whatever it takes. I think that it was a great signing. I think it was a necessary signing for a coach that I really do believe in. It's the first time I've really believed in this MSU program in a long time. I think they have the 16th or 17th recruiting class in the country, a lot of 4-stars next year. They have a lot of guys who are on their team currently coming back to fill some of those holes. I'm sure you'll lose guys like Jaden Reed and Kenneth Walker and a couple other guys, but I expect, especially the big thing that I'm really looking forward to, especially with Tucker recruiting classes, is how this defense is going to improve, because we see this defense at Georgia. This is a Mel Tucker recruiting class at Georgia. This was the year after he left, was most of these guys who are now juniors and seniors there.
Yeah.
He left in 2018, I believe, to go coach Colorado for 1 season. And when he left that team that I think lost in the national championship to Alabama, these were a lot of his recruits that came in now to be a very effective defense, the best defense in college football in a long time.
Very effective is an understatement.
Yeah, I think that this Georgia team will probably beat every single team they play by upward of 15, 20 points. So I'm really excited for this. They're getting a world-class football kind of locker room and training facility. Yeah. They're saying it's the best thing in college football. I'm really excited. There's something different about college football. As much as I love our Michigan State basketball team, and they're my favorite thing at Michigan State, I'll always understand that college football holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts. And if you want to compete for recruits with Ohio State and Michigan, you're going to have to kind of take it to that next level. And that's what Mel's doing right now. So I'm really 100%. Impressed by that.
100%. And like you touched on with his defense, people forgot that he's a defensive minded coach. I mean, that's his bread and butter. And this year, the weakness is the defense. The offense has been outstanding. I mean, what's the name of the OC again?
Jay Johnson.
Jay Johnson. He's been doing an outstanding job this year. So if he can keep that same energy basically going forward, and Mel gets his defensive recruits in, gets more of his play style in place. I mean, bringing Peyton Thorne back next year will be huge. He's proved to be way better than I ever thought he would be.
Yeah.
They could be good for years to come. And I think they've got something special here.
Agreed. All right. Ben's still not back yet, so we won't talk too much Michigan State, Ohio State, but we will talk real quick about Michigan, Maryland. Michigan State just beat Maryland last week, I believe, by what was it? 21 points? Was it 41 to 20? Was the final score 40 to 21? So Michigan State won by 19 at home against Maryland. Michigan on the road at Maryland. I 100% expect Michigan to win. I didn't see anything out of this Maryland team that makes me think they could be upset. Michigan minus 15. Kind of like Michigan in the minus 15 here. I don't like Michigan. I fucking hate their guts. But if you didn't watch their game against Michigan State, they're an overall better team. But I do like them minus 15 against a Maryland team that might maybe at their last game make a bowl game, but not impressed by Maryland. Not at all.
No, they Tagovailoa he's decent. I don't know.
Yeah, he tried his hardest. I really, for a lot of those plays, especially on offense, I really blame the receivers. They had a lot of dropped passes.
Yeah, Tagovailoa was giving him a lot of opportunities downfield, and they weren't capitalizing on that. But they stopped Kenneth Walker decently well.
In the first half, for sure.
In the first half, yeah. I remember checking like halfway through the third quarter because I was like, ooh, Kenneth's having a tough game. And he just finds a way to get sneaky 100-yard games without even realizing it.
Well, Michigan State will run him 30 times because Michigan State's 100% at this point committed to the Kenneth Walker Heisman campaign of getting him his couple of touchdowns, his 140 yards a game.
Yeah.
So I think if Michigan State walks out of the game against Ohio State on Saturday with Kenneth having 150 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and if they lose, I don't know, even if we're looking at it,
that's still a pretty good game. Resume
pretty good game. Yeah. I think that's kind of what they're aiming for at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of sad to say, but it's just Ohio State.
Yeah. Back to the Michigan, Maryland. I mean, it feels like there's not a lot to talk about here. It feels like Michigan will cover the spread fairly easily. It doesn't seem like a Michigan team of past where they play down to their opponent. They have been handily beating their lesser opponents this year, which is surprising, but all credit to them. Yeah, I just don't see a world in which Maryland wins this game. They don't have an X factor that can come out and just win the game single-handedly for them. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot of analysis I can do here, to be honest.
Me neither. I think Blake Corum probably sits this one out. He didn't play last week against Penn State. I don't expect him to travel against Maryland. I'm pretty sure this is the one thing that I will say that this could be a little look ahead spot for Michigan. I think they're staring at Ohio State. I think that if the Michigan thinks they're going to win, I think they think Ohio State's going to win, which I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State does beat Michigan State. But I think they're just staring at Ohio State saying, if we beat Ohio State, we control our own destiny. We make the Big Ten championship. We make the playoff. So I know that they're looking at that. I don't think Corum plays. I think he sits out. But I still expect Michigan to beat up on Maryland, who's a really, really bad team, who's typically not a great run defense either, which they did do a pretty decent job against Michigan State. So was a little surprised by that. But I think Michigan's going to give Maryland the business.
If the only way I see Maryland winning this game is if Michigan, or wait, did I get that backwards? No, the only way I see Maryland winning this game is if Michigan does it to themselves, basically. If they don't travel a few of their players just for injury reasons or just to be safe, like they look at this game like basically a bye almost, and then they make some silly mistakes, penalties, stuff like that, which they haven't really been doing all year. They've been a pretty well-disciplined team. That's the only way. The only way Maryland wins is if Michigan does it to themselves. So,
yeah, agreed. I think the same thing. Not much more analysis in that. I think Michigan wins. The only way I think that Maryland even has a chance to cover the spread is if Michigan has a little bit of a look-ahead spot. So, that's about it. All right. We will take a quick break, wait for Ben, and then we are going to talk Michigan State, Ohio State after this. We are back. Michigan State, Ohio State, number 7 versus number 4. The Spartans are definitely going to win this game, right, guys?
Absolutely.
In my heart. Yeah.
I will say, I feel like we were hella disrespected by the spread.
I agree. That's what I was just about to say. Like, to be honest, I don't know if State wins. They're plus 700 on DraftKings to win the game. Plus 19. I'm taking the plus 19, 1,000%. Might have to sprinkle the money line just because fuck it. But they really think Ohio State's that much better than every fucking Big Ten team out here? 19 points.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, they did
dog walk Purdue and we lost by 11. and they dog walked them. They fucking bent them over and made them yell "Si Papi Muño."
They did, but just the week prior, they have a tough one against Nebraska. I don't think this Ohio State team is nearly as invincible as people are saying. I'm not saying we're favorites to win. We're not. But this being, I would have put this game at 14.5 max. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. There's certainly a realm where we get torched for 50 and it's just never close. But I think the more likely option is we keep it close and end up losing by 10, touchdown, a field goal or whatever. But I don't know. I thought the line was pretty whack.
So you're saying $140 on Michigan State money line's a bad idea?
Maybe 141 if you got that type of cash.
Okay, sounds good. Easy money.
I don't know. I think the line's super disrespectful, especially in my eyes, because I mean this is a big game, not only for Michigan State but Ohio State too. Like Ohio State very much is not secure in their position in the playoffs. And it's a super important game for them. It's probably their first big test of the season on like you could call the Oregon game a big test, but week 2, like, there might be some nerves there, whatever. 19 feels like part of me is saying it could be a blowout. They've got 3 top 2 round maybe.
I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Wide receivers, we could get torched in the air. Heisman candidate quarterback, next year Heisman candidate, true freshman running back could get torched. But also I feel like this Michigan State team, they've kind of got a chip on their shoulder. Mel's done a good job with the culture and understanding the importance of games and focusing in on them and playing teams close when other people might not think that we should be playing them close. So I think the line's very disrespectful in that sense.
Yeah, as far as the running back, State's shown that they're good against runs. They're great run defense. They shut down Corum and Haskins against Michigan. Michigan really aired it out. The only thing I'm afraid of is if Cade McNamara made us look like that, if the Purdue quarterback Plummer made us look like that, then what is CJ Stroud, a legit NFL prospect, going to make this defense look like? Michigan State did a great Scotty Hazelton, you did a great job of blitzing against Maryland. That's Maryland. You're going to have to send some fucking heat against Ohio State. You can't play this rushing 4 bullshit where you drop 7 guys and hope to cover them. You're not. You're going to have to send 5, maybe 6 every single time they throw the ball. And one of the things that's really worked for them the last 2 weeks, even though they did lose to Purdue, is playing Darius Snow more, playing 3 safeties where they're playing Gross, they're playing Henderson and Snow all at the same time. That's been working for them. No offense, Kimbrough has been bad. Ronald Williams has been decent at times. Lowry is basically, I don't even know about him. Kimbrough is the tough one, but they need to play 3 of their safeties. Their safeties are their strong suit. So they need to play Snow as kind of a nickel guy, even though I know he's more of a safety, but they figured out a little bit against Maryland. They got off the field. They got some stops, but I'm still pretty worried as far as throwing the ball, especially with Ohio State. The defense can be had. The Ohio State defense isn't the Ohio State defense of old. They can be run on. They can be thrown against. I'm not scared about their defense. Yeah. They gave up a lot of points to Purdue early. They just kind of ran out on Purdue. But their offense, their offense is good.
Yeah. Like you said with the safeties, I think that's an important point. Them kind of making up the slack that the corners, have. But I also think that the Michigan State linebackers have a huge, if they play well in this game, what's his name?
Cal Haladay.
If they play well, they drop one back into coverage and they cover those short routes decently well. And I think they're equally as important, if not more, in this game than the safeties are, getting that pressure on Stroud, and also providing a little extra help to the DBs. I think they could be huge.
Yeah, to actually win this game, we need to make Stroud uncomfortable because we are going to lose one-on-one matchups. Smith and Jabba and Olave are otherworldly. Watching those guys, they will tear us apart. So we need to make sure that Stroud is uncomfortable as much as possible. Like you mentioned, sending blitzes and stuff, similarly to how Nebraska was able to kind of throw him off. Get him leaning, get him on the run when he tries to make these throws. Don't let him get time in the pocket to find these guys, because they will win the one-on-one matchups. It's about forcing Stroud to make some mistakes. Otherwise, we're getting 60 points put up on us, and I don't care how well Kenneth Walker runs the ball. We just can't keep up with that. So if we can keep Ohio State, I mean, all we need is like 35. That seems like, I mean, it's something you should be able to get from a defense, although I don't think we have it. But we're going to score the ball. And that's why I don't see this line being correct, because I don't see a world where we don't get to 30. Ohio State is weak in on defense, more so than years past, especially under Urban Meyer. So this is probably the worst defense Ohio State's had in probably since before their national championship a couple years back. But I think we can keep this close if we can get Stroud, maybe force a turnover. All it takes is one weird turnover.
Yeah,
kind of like the one we gave up to start the Purdue game. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden you got some nerve. Stroud's got to think about every play he's making, and then all of a sudden it's a ball game. But
I mean, it does help Ohio State's playing at home for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what really. If this was any slanting, I think we're really talking about Michigan State having a chance to win this game. But it does seem like a tough task to go into Columbus and beat this good of an offense.
I'm still taking Michigan State plus 700.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll sprinkle.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Sprinkle.
I'm sending every dollar.
I'm sprinkling the fucking spread. I'm hammering Michigan State.
I will
money line.
Stealing food from Walmart.
That's one of the things that I've struggled with all year is I think Michigan State's good against the spread, but I have trouble just even betting their spread. Why would I want them just to cover, especially games that they're not projected to win? Like, what enjoyment do I have in my brain except for winning some money that if State covers 19 against Ohio State? I'm still pissed. I might as well fucking put it all out there, dick on the table, plus 700 State to win. Why not?
Yeah, I get that.
We need Naylor back.
Yeah, we do. That's the other story is these injuries.
We need
Hurst back. Can we get Crouch back? Our linebackers look very suspect against Purdue.
Yeah,
especially covering the pass. The tight end.
Noah Harvey looked awful till he made up for that interception at the goal line.
Is that the
45?
Yeah, 45.
Also, can Coughlin kick some field goals for us? That would be wonderful.
Dude, his groin's hurt ever since he proposed. He's been getting nonstop blowjobs. His crotch is just
hitting it too hard.
Redhead mullet. Fuck.
You know who would be nice to have back sometime soon is that boy Ricky White.
He's coming back.
He could be great right about
next year's
now.
campaign.
Yeah, he would be so huge right now. Imagine those three wide receivers: Reed, Naylor, White. I mean,
and Mosley. Just for shits and gigs.
Foster didn't look horrible. Hayward at tight end. Our tight ends have improved.
Hunt recently. With that terrible fumble. Please just hang on to the ball.
The best quarterback on our roster.
Yeah.
2 million QBR.
Another big point of emphasis for our defense is the godforsaken third downs. Holy shit. Would it kill us to stop a 3rd and 18?
Could they stop just giving so much cushion underneath? Especially on anything that's like 3rd and 6 to like 3rd and 12.
They just let them 8 yards.
Have 8 yards and then hope that they make a tackle within those 4 yards. It infuriates me.
It feels like we play a little safe on those. I'd love to just send it every once in a while because it seems like we got the D line to get some pressure, especially if we get Barrow back. I'm not exactly sure how to say that, but we could rush the passer if we want to, and that's going to be a major key in my mind for this next game.
Anybody know Panashuk's matchup? What's his they'll probably
there's no tackle, there's no offensive lineman that Ohio State's like highly regarded. Like there's none of them that really jump off like that look really good. They just pass the ball so well and they get the ball out so quick. Like
Yeah.
Is Shroud? I know Shroud's a good quarterback, and I think he's probably the best quarterback in the Big Ten, but he really only has to throw 15 yards, and then these receivers are unworldly, and they just make a play and go for 75 yards. Like, they're insane. Like, Shroud doesn't really have to be that great when these receivers are amazing.
That's true. But I feel like they've been giving him decent enough protection all year. I thought they had I think we lost Ben again. Thought they had a pretty big line, but I could be mistaken. Yeah. Pressure on Stroud will be super important.
Yep. And God damn it. Just an uncharged laptop. All right. Yeah. Let's move on. I don't know what to do because we kind of need Ben for the next segment. Oh boy.
What's the next segment?
Oh, we were going to do the college football locks.
Oh boy.
I'm pausing the recording. Pause, people. We'll come back when Ben's here. Pause. All right, Ben is back. For the people watching on YouTube, you won't be able to see him, but you will hear him. All right, we're back. Ben, any last things you want to say about Michigan State and Ohio State before we move on to the college football lock segment?
No, I'm just excited to finally watch the game. I feel like we've been talking about and hoping for this game and hoping to be in a circumstance where we're playing for something bigger than just bragging rights of beating a top team for once in the last couple of years. So it's good to be playing in these big games and these college games multiple times in a season. It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Okay, let's move on. College football picks, college football locks. I'll start with mine. Clayton and I kind of thought we were going to have the same one, but I definitely zigged when everyone thought I would zag. I took Wake Forest 2 weeks ago. I could keep chasing the dragon that is Wake Forest, but they just pissed me the fuck off. So my college football lock is going to be Syracuse plus 11.5 against NC State. Syracuse is 8-1 on the season against the spread. And I'm sure now that I know that this statistic is true, NC State will cover, but I'm taking Syracuse plus 12 against North Carolina State, who just came off of a tough loss. They're trying to get back into the ACC championship game. I like NC State to win, but I like Syracuse to cover. Go Qs.
Okay.
Mine is one that I have no idea anything about, and that's what makes for a good bet. So I think I'm going to take Houston minus 8.5 against Memphis for two reasons. One, I watched Memphis play one time this year. I forget against who, but they were horrendous in the game I watched. I see they're 5-5, but the game I watched, it looked like they should be 1-9. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, I have developed a hatred towards Memphis that they probably don't deserve.
They do deserve it. They're a piece of shit.
It's solely because of the decision of Mr. Bates, Amoni Bates. And so I just like rooting against them now, which is probably pretty hateful of me. And I should be better as a person, but I choose not to today. And hopefully it results in some money in my pocket.
Mm-hmm. I like Clayton.
Since you made your pick, Jake, and you mentioned Wake Forest, I talked myself into that game being a trap game, and there's no reason why Wake Forest should be an underdog by 4.5. I'm changing my pick to.
But wait, maybe since we realize it's a trap, it's not a trap.
No, don't say that. We have to go back in private and do that. We go back and we deliberate later.
Plus 4.
My new lock is Pittsburgh minus 14.5 against Virginia. The kid's name is totally slipped my mind. Good? Yes, he is legit. Yes, he is very good. And Pittsburgh's kind of been snowballing in a good way at the end, towards the end of the season. Pickett's on the uptrend. He's got in the back of his head. He's got something to prove for the NFL draft this year. He could be a good draft pick. And this Virginia team, let's just be honest, is ass. So I like minus 14.5. Honestly, feels like a lot, but
if I could give another pick, if the starting quarterback Virginia, I don't remember what his name is, something Armstrong.
Brennan Armstrong.
If he ends up playing, I know he's probable for this game, so he's more likely than not going to play. If he plays, take over 66 points. This game will be an absolute barn burner.
40s from both teams, maybe 60 from Pittsburgh. Virginia doesn't play defense, but they sure know how to score. They score damn near every possession.
35.
Good teams.
Pittsburgh averages 43 points per game. Virginia gives up 30. Virginia averages 35 points per game. Pittsburgh gives up 22. So even if those two things middle out, Pittsburgh scores 38. Virginia scores 30 something. That's over.
That's way over.
So that's way over.
I like the over there. I don't mind the pick Clayton as well. Kenny Pickett's the real deal. He'll be a first rounder.
Yeah.
They're sweet. He should have more Heisman buzz, honestly. He's
yeah.
In my mind been the best quarterback or one of this year. So I think he's
giving me
underrated.
Josh Allen vibes.
Ooh. I like that comp.
I also like that comp. Not a bad comp, Clayton.
Decent comp.
Thank you.
Me likey. All right. Let's move on to a quick NBA segment that I wanted to do. Just to recap, jumping back and forth, just to recap college football locks. I'm taking Q's plus 11.5. Clayton taking Pittsburgh minus 14.5. Ben taking Houston minus 8.5. I'm parlaying all these right now as we speak in my phone.
To all that over in.
No, every single one of my picks I'm making on this show right now.
Throw the over in.
I'm parlaying them all.
Do you want to know the odds if I throw all that stuff in there? Let you know what it is. Little tickler file.
Plus 1,000.
Okay. 1 second. Somebody talk. I'm finding things.
Well, my parlay of all my picks so far is at plus 1,200, and we're only going to make that shit bigger. So, I'm sprinkling on that.
That's going to be juicy. Oh,
yeah. That is super juicy.
That reminds me, I put every dollar in my bank account on Michigan State to win tonight, or actually to cover 2.5. And now I have double the amount of money I did 10 hours ago. So
you are a dangerous.
Now I can pay for gas.
When does Pittsburgh play? What time is their game? I'm trying to look for it.
It's
3:30.
3:30.
The 3:30 start.
It's such a typical 3:30 ACC game.
Yeah,
it couldn't be more 3:30 than that.
Couldn't be more Atlantic Coastal Conference.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are we taking Pittsburgh minus 14 because that's the pick, or are we taking the over 66 with there too?
Because
I'm afraid of minus 14.5 if we're taking over 66 too.
What's this?
Has anyone ever missed a bet on this podcast?
Yes.
No.
Then you gotta take it.
What's the Virginia quarterback's name?
Brennan
Armstrong.
I'm looking at Twitter right now.
Okay, he's looking at Twitter. Let me find the Syracuse game plus 11. If we take Houston minus 8.5, Pittsburgh minus 14.5, the over in Virginia, Pittsburgh, and Syracuse plus 11.5, that's plus 1,228.
I just don't see how it misses,
I also don't see how it misses. Easy money. Sniper, KD. Super easy. I'm taking all these in a parlay. I'm taking all of our NFL locks, and then I'm parlaying the NCAA and the NFL locks all in one thing, just putting like $5 on all of them. See what happens. You throw $5 on this. This is good. This is good podcasting. You get $66.
You're looking at some good money.
So why not just throw 100 on there?
Yeah.
100. All of a sudden you got 12.
You got 100. You might as well. Yeah, you got $1,300.
Yeah, all of a sudden you got 50K and you can take that to the bank.
All right. Let's move on. We'll talk about this off air, but know that we're parlaying all of our locks. I'm parlaying all the locks that we're taking. I might take the over separate, but parlaying them all.
This is the week we go undefeated.
This is the week we go undefeated for sure. Let's move on to a quick NBA segment. I want to do real or fake. Basically, real quick, just saying if these teams / players, if the rest of the season it's going to be real or it's going to be super, super fake. All right, let's start with the thing that has been blowing my mind most in the NBA the entire year. Let's start with a team that's definitely overperforming for me. But is this team real? The Washington Wizards, 10-4, top of the NBA in the Eastern Conference. 10-4 Washington Wizards. Are they real or are they fake?
I think it's tough to just go, fire or ice here. Because I in my head, I think they fall somewhere in between. Like I remember we talked about them.
Stop playing it
2
safe,
weeks ago.
Clayton.
No,
Hot takes.
I'm going to say that they are fake, just for this reason.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it last time. They have a team full of role players, right? But I love Bradley Beal. He's an all-star by all means. But I think they just lack that, find that, that Steph Curry or, somebody like that can take you that extra mile in a close game and get you that win. Let's say Brad's having a bad game somewhere down the stretch. You're 78 games into the season, and who you gonna give the ball to Kuz in the corner?
Yep.
How confident do you feel with that? I don't know.
Really good.
Yeah. I don't know.
Best I've ever felt.
I think they're fake in terms of them being the number 1 seed. I think they can play out and they can get in at maybe even a 5 or a 6, but I don't see them playing out this 1 seed pace the rest of the season.
I agree. I 100% agree. I won't go too deep into it. I know this podcast is already running long, but I agree. I think they're definitely a playoff team. They're too deep not to be a playoff team. I predicted them to make a lot of trades around the trade deadline, but that's just because I thought their team was going to be bad. Their team is doing really, really well. So I expect them to keep all their pieces. I expect maybe them even to be buyers at the trade deadline. And yeah, I definitely think they make the playoffs as a team without having to play in the play-in tournament, but to be the 1 seed, that's a bit extreme for me.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, this team won't finish number 1 in the East, but I don't want to call it fake because this team really is better than the team we expected. They're ranked 4th in defensive rating right now. They can switch everything. They have guys who actually care about winning, which can kind of disappear on some of these teams with these superstars. They have 1 through 10 guys who are willing to play defense all 48 minutes, and they compete on that end. And then on the other end, they're shooting a ridiculous number from 3. I think they're at 42%, which if you look at the cast of guys that they have right now, that should not be happening, which is where I think they regress back to the mean. I still think this team is going into the year. I didn't think this team was making the play, and now I'm thinking they're probably going to border around that 6 to 7 range, like you guys were saying, but they're definitely better than we expected, but to think they're going to win the East is a bit ridiculous, I think.
All right, moving on to something that I kind of agreed with today. JJ Redick went on ESPN saying that if he had to cast his 3rd place MVP voting right now, he would vote for not Steph, who he had at 1st, not Kevin Durant, who he had at 2nd, but number 3, his 3rd overall MVP candidate right now, DeMar DeRozan. Is his season for real or is it fake? DeMar DeRozan averaging a 2nd highest career points per game of 26.9 points per game. His team is the 2nd best team in the Eastern Conference. He is averaging 7.9 free throws, which is the 2nd in his career high. He's averaging the highest in his career for free throw percentage, highest from 3-point percentage, highest from field goal shooting percentage, 2nd highest rebound percentage, and 3rd highest assists per game. DeMar DeRozan, who's been absolutely amazing for the team of the Bulls, who has been kind of really, really good team. They've lost Vucevic for a while. They haven't had Kobe White. They're losing Patrick Williams for the whole year. Vucevic, do you think this is real or this is fake? DeMar DeRozan.
It's tough. I almost want to say it's fake, not to discount his play, because he's obviously playing his ass off. It's more so the surrounding cast, the people around him. I know it's you can take this with a grain of salt, but in my eyes, the MVP is almost somebody that is not carrying a bad team, but they're the most important player by a long shot on their team. And I don't really see that with DeRozan on this Bulls team. They have a lot of good pieces around him. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in the NBA or the MVP conversation by any means. I just don't, in my head, I don't see him at 3. He is playing really well, though. I could see him at like 5.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's obviously playing extremely well, but I don't even think he's the best player on that team. And I don't think he's necessarily been the best player on that team this year. Levine is an absolute superstar. Whenever I watch him, he makes tough shots. He creates shots for other players more so than he had ever in his career. And then he's obviously the rest of that cast is extremely good too. Lonzo Ball last night, 27, 8 and 7 or something like that. Just torching the Lakers all night, proving why they shouldn't have traded him. But I think guys kind of like Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Rudy Gobert, Paul George. I think those are guys that I would personally still have ahead of DeMar DeRozan, as well as maybe Zach LaVine, his own teammate. So DeMar DeRozan, all the credit in the world to him. He's playing incredible basketball, but third in the MVP it's a little too much for me, especially because he's had some nights where he disappears.
I agree. It was a bit hot take-ish. I just wanted to see your guys' reaction, but I do think that he's having definitely an all-star caliber year. Definitely, I think he'll be an all-star, but MVP, maybe a bit intense, but the Bulls have been impressive so far. Moving on to the next thing. This will be another player. Is this real or is this fake? Has James Harden fallen off? I personally can't stand him at this point. He is scoring 19.8 points per game, his lowest since being the Oklahoma City Thunder's 6th man since Houston. They don't have a second star on this team. He's been bad. He's averaging 4.9 turnovers per game. It's his lowest assists in almost 4 years. His rebounding numbers are kind of low too, not really the best. And he flops and cries like a little fucking bitch all the time. So I can't really stand him at this point. I'm all out on James Harden. I haven't really liked him in a while. He annoys the shit out of me. He can't adjust to the new foul rules. And I think doesn't really care about basketball that much. I think he's kind of a little bit of a bitch boy. So for me, I fucking hate him. So I'm happy to see him do poorly.
I haven't hated him. I just haven't liked his play style. I understand like a lot of people's, why they liked him is because he understood the rules at the time and he understood how to bend them and whatever. I didn't like that, but now it's getting to the point where after the whole fat James Harden shit that he pulled with the Rockets and just basically being a bitch until he forced a trade, basically. At that point, he left, I don't know, just bad taste in my mouth, I guess. And now I don't hate him for playing bad. I mean, he's not playing awful. He's just not James Harden of past. But to see him go out on the floor and bitch at calls that the NBA was openly very public about saying this is not going to be the same as it has been in the past. And to see him go out there and bitch and complain that his play style is completely different. I don't know. I don't see him. I could see him getting up to maybe like 23, 24 points per game this year. But the way it's going right now for James, I don't know. He's not looking great. Poor Kevin's having to put team on his back again.
Who's looked incredible this year.
Yeah.
But Kyrie flaked on him for being a wacko and Harden's been underwhelming. So I do feel bad for Kevin.
I guess that means I get to be devil's advocate. I think James Harden is still a superstar. I think obviously the way he played, and I understand people not loving watching that, but it's going to take him a couple games. We're 15 games into this new rule, and he was obviously the poster child of being able to take advantage. So he's had definitely to take some time to adjust, but I still believe in the James Harden I've seen for the last 10 years. And I think he's an elite scorer as well as playmaker. And even in their wins, he's been dynamic. It's just whenever they lose, it's pretty much entirely on the shoulder, because Kevin Durant shows up every night, except for that Warriors game. He wasn't great, but Kevin Durant shows up every night. Basically, in their 9 wins, I think it is, he has played poorly or he's played very well, and then in their losses, he just doesn't show up. I think when the season gets rolling, and he's always been the type to take a couple games to get into shape. So I am not at all out on James Harden. I think come the end of the year, you're going to be seeing the Nets coming out of the East, and I think it's going to be a lot because of obviously the historic Kevin Durant season, but also James Harden getting back to that 25 points per game and 7 or 8 assists. I think he's still plenty capable of that, and that should be expected from him, even if it's not here immediately. Although also the NBA seems to have picked him out as being especially aware of his tactics, and he's getting called for things that other players are not, simply because he's the poster child of this new rule change. And I would like to see the refs ref him the same way that other players are being officiated, because right now it does seem, I'm sure you guys have seen the Instagram clips, he's getting fouled sometimes and they're just not calling it. And I think that's because there was so much emphasis on him specifically.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Trey a little bit. He's not getting as many calls. He's been struggling early this year, not as much, but Trey's definitely been struggling. I don't know. I have a hard time feeling bad for James Harden. I still, some of the fouls are definitely fouls, but he still does the thing where he extends his arm super far and just grabs somebody's arm in and flails around. And then I don't feel bad. Like, I see some of these fouls, I'm like, oh, he probably should have gotten a foul there. And then at the same time, I see him do that the play later. And it's like, they just called you for this offensive bullshit and you're doing it all over again. It's just like, the definition of insane. It's like, what is crazy insanity is doing the same thing over again, expecting different results. Mm-hmm. He's just doing the same thing every single game and the results aren't changing. So it's like, it's hard to feel bad for him at this point.
Understandable.
Okay. Let's hit one thing. Each person has been, let's just go very quickly. Only 2 minutes left on this recording part. So let's go very quickly on one thing that you've been impressed by, one thing you've been not impressed by. Let's hit it really, really quick. Give a quick explanation for one thing you've been impressed by, one thing you haven't been. I will start quickly. I've been impressed by the Clippers. I know I predicted them to go poorly in the season. They've been doing really well. Paul George has really, really impressed me. Their surrounding cast actually been playing pretty decently. That has impressed me. A thing that I've been not impressed by, the thing that's been the most shocking to me, definitely this NBA season, has been the Pelicans. I didn't think they would be this bad, to the fact that they're 2-14. They haven't seen Zion. I think Zion's overweight. I think if I had to do the draft 100 times out of 100, I'd take Ja Morant every single time over Zion. I think Zion's career will be short-lived, and I think a lot of it will come down to him not being able to control his body weight and issues. I know it's a little hot take-ish. I know he's in his 3rd season, but it's definitely been an issue. So team I've been disappointed by, definitely the Pelicans / Zion, and then team I've been impressed by the Clippers.
Okay. I mean, it sounds, you might say cliche or whatever, but I'm going to go with the Warriors. Team I've been most impressed by, not for the Curry aspect, for the Draymond aspect, but for, their development. I mean, they've shown that they've done a great job in developing young talent. And then the team I've been disappointed by is the Atlanta Hawks so far. Trae Young's shown that he's struggling a little bit. The rest of the team around him shown that they're also struggling. Just in general, not impressed by them.
I'll go quickly, jump on the Warriors points. Here's some stats. 3rd in offensive rating, 1st in defensive rating, 1st in net rating, 1st in assists rating, and 1st in rebounding rating. That is unheard of. They have been absolutely unbelievable this year.
Okay. Anything you've been disappointed by, Ben? Quickly.
Disappointed by the Kings. They started out hot, kind of fizzled out. They can't seem to figure out any lineups other than their starters.
To finish Ben's sentiment, the Kings have been disappointing, and I feel the same way about the Timberwolves. Sorry, this is going to be some weird editing, but this is our 3rd now recording of this. or third set of Zoom recordings because I refuse to pay for the pro edition, and we can only record 40 minutes at a time. And I refuse to give my money to Big Zoom. How dare they? So that will wrap up our NAEA segment. Let's move on to our over, our under, our favorite, and our underdog, and then our lock for for NFL. Sorry, that came out a little weird. So let's start. We'll try to drag this out until Ben can basically join us, and maybe he'll give us some rapid fire points, but it's getting late at this point, and I'd like to start editing. So Clayton, can you give me your favorite for this week?
My
NFL
favorite. Let me find it. There it is. My favorite NFL this week. Green Bay Packers -2 against the Minnesota Vikings.
Green Bay Packers -2 against the Vikings. I like that.
As a Lions fan, it pains me to say about a fellow NFC North team, but the Green Bay Packers look like they might be the best team in the NFL right now.
Oh,
and the Vikings,
Hachi.
Yes, the Vikings, love my boy Kirk, love him to death, but they do this weird thing where they're not really great, but find ways to win against bad teams, barely. And I just think they collapse under the pressure of a big conference or division game rather. And the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, unvaccinated, holistic ass, comes out there and torches them.
He's immunized.
Immunized, sorry, not holistic. Immunized.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a pretty fair one. I think the Vikings are a spicy team. I think they're going to be playing for that final wild card spot. What are they, 4-6? I think is the Vikings record. Or are they 4-6 or are they 3-6?
Yeah,
I think they're 4-6.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can still afford to lose this one and still get to they're 4-5, so not even that bad. They can still afford to lose this one. They're obviously no one's going to catch the Packers. I do like the Packers on the road. Big week from AJ Dillon, just trading for him in fantasy football, so I expect a huge week for AJ Dillon. So I like that Packers pick. I fuck with it heavy, as the kids say.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. One that might be a little sneaky and would be Ben's pick probably if he wasn't in the Zoom yet and couldn't hear me take it. Oh, here he is. So Ben can hear me take what my favorite's going to be. It's actually going to be the San Francisco 49ers -6. So that's going to be my favorite for this week is the 49ers -6. I like them against the Jags. The Jags suck. I feel like the 49ers are going to hunt for maybe this last wild card spot in the NFC. There's a lot of teams in contention. They had a huge game over the Rams, who we might have, overrated a little too soon. They don't have that many impressive wins. So I like the 49ers -6 on the road. Could be a letdown spot, but I think they just run the ball over this shitty Jacksonville team. So
yeah,
49ers -6.
Like that pick.
All right, Ben, what is your favorite this week in the NFL?
I too love the 49ers, obviously a 49er fan. So seeing how well they played against the Rams on Monday night was really good to see. We kind of looked more like that team that you saw make the Super Bowl and was about 3 minutes away from winning it. Jimmy Garoppolo looked great. The run game looked great. The defense was solid. Really impressed. But I will give you another pick. I like the Dolphins. Nobody wants to watch the Dolphins, but they did look good last week. The defense, they finally got their starting cornerbacks back, Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. Yes. They looked really good last week. Defensively, playing a lowly Jets team, I think they cover the 3 points that they're giving up and kind of make a typical Lions-esque run to close the season, but not make the playoffs.
Yeah, I like that too. I do like the Dolphins there. They just announced that Joe Flacco will be the starting quarterback, so I like it even more.
Icky.
Icky is correct.
3-yard passes coming out of the Jets.
Yeah, a lot of pass interferences coming out of the Jets.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the underdogs. Clayton, tell me your underdog for this week.
Oh, my underdog. I have an under, but wait, I had one in mind. I just got to find it again.
Okay.
Shit. Oh. Wait, was that it? Yes. Okay. amid all their turmoil. and
Oh
everything
yeah, I know
going on with
exactly what you're gonna think.
franchise, Las Vegas Raiders +1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals have kind of been on the downhill or the decline. They've been slipping up a little bit. Jamar Chase has lost a little bit of that heat that he had at the beginning of the year. All that wind behind his sails, I guess you might say. And I think the Raiders coming off an absolute beatdown, right? Was that a beatdown? Am I remembering correctly?
Yes.
Yeah,
No.
it was a beatdown.
Who they play?
The Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, a beatdown against the Chiefs where the Chiefs look like they're totally all the way back. I think they come out, they get their head on right. They play a Bengals team that's kind of been underperforming the past couple weeks. And yeah, I don't know. Like the Raiders.
Okay. Every part of my soul is telling me to take the Lions +11.
Ugh.
Every part of my soul. Because I
Your
think
soul
Baker
might hate money.
Yeah, my soul might hate money, but I also think Baker Mayfield might be out. And would you really think Case Keenum can spot 11 points?
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. I'm audibling the Colts +7. I hate it.
Interesting.
You
So
made
I
me
like
spill
it.
my
That's
water.
why you love it.
I hate it because I love it because I hate it. I hate it
It's
a
a good-
lot. I really like the Bills in this game. So I'm going to go the opposite direction because I'm a fucking idiot.
That's a
I
good direction.
I don't hate that pick, but it's only because I hate it so much.
Good. Keep hating it.
All right. My pick, my underdog is the Saints.
Ooh.
They have played better on the road this year than they have at home. The Eagles are dookie. I don't know how they're 4-6,
Yeah.
but they are not very good, at least to my knowledge. Yeah, I like the Saints. I think they've played really well away from home, and I don't know. They always seem to win games they're underdogs in and get blown out when they're big favorites. I don't know what's wrong with them, but I think they find a way to win that game, especially only 1.5. Essentially, I pick them there, so I'll take the Saints on the road.
Yeah, I don't want to be a douche, but I really like the Bengals in this game. Or I mean the Eagles.
The Eagles,
Yeah, the Eagles.
understandable.
You trust in
I just
all
don't
faith
like the
in
Eagles. I might bet against the Eagles the rest of the year because I just
Oh.
don't believe in them.
Okay.
Spielman. What's his name? Steelman, the fucking Saints
What?
quarterback. What's his name?
Trevor Simeon?
Simeon.
Simeon goated.
Goated.
Wow, that's a lot of faith.
A lot of faith.
I'd
Northwestern.
rather
grad.
have Winston on crutches.
All right, Clay, what's your over?
My over, let me check the bet slip. My over is in the Colts Bills game. I think that one turns into an absolute shootout.
What's that number?
50.5.
Ooh, okay.
50.5. I think Jonathan Taylor runs all over the Bills defense. But I think Josh Allen and the Bills receiver core pass all over the Colts. I think it just ends up going back and forth. And there is absolutely a world where I see them getting over 51 points.
Okay. I will go over in the Bengals and the Raiders. Bad defenses. I think there's a lot of points there. I think the Bengals, even if they do lose, or the Raiders, if they do lose, I'll pull for you, Clayton. But I do think that's going to be a lot of points. So 49.5 over in the Bengals and the Raiders. Bad.
I am going to go over in the Monday night Buccaneers Giants games. I think the Buccaneers defense has not been certainly what they were last year and even early in this season. They've kind of let the team down a couple of the last few games. And I think obviously the Giants will probably give up 106 to Brady and crew. So I like the over in that game. If the Giants can get to like 20, I have no doubt that the Buccaneers can get in the 30s.
Yeah.
So that's the one I liked.
It's a Tom Brady bounce back game too. So
It does. You do need a little Tom Brady bounce back. They're undefeated at home.
Yeah.
They're Monday night.
They had a bad
Tom
game
Brady
last week.
could
Got
light it
something
up.
to prove. Yeah. I like that.
Okay. Clayton, you're under.
My under Pittsburgh Chargers 47. Think two fairly defensive teams. I mean, the Steelers only put up, I know they had Mason Rudolph, but you could potentially argue that Mason Rudolph might be better than Ben Roethlisberger at this point. They only put up 16 points against the Lions. And the Chargers offense has been struggling as of late. They started hot. Everybody got high on the Chargers, and then they've fallen off since. I do not. I could see this game ending like 17-14. I don't see a world in which they get to 47. So I like it. Even though the Steelers might be missing TJ Watt.
Possibly.
Correct. Yeah. I still think the under is a play here.
All right. I'll go on to mine, and that is under 48 in the Cardinals and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I
thought about that one. I liked it.
I think that this is probably the week that Kyler Murray comes back, and I'm pretty sure everyone expects a bounce back game for Russell Wilson. I think 48 is a low number. That makes me think people want you to take the over, so I'll be taking the under because my fucking brain is a sharp.
God, you must have a huge fucking brain.
It's huge.
I can see it. His skull doesn't contain it. It's fucking crazy.
I love it. I'm taking for my under. I'm taking the Thursday night game, Patriots Falcons. Thursday night always feels sloppy, always feels bad, and the Patriots defense is elite. And guess whose offense isn't? That would be the Falcons. I see a trouncing by the Patriots coming, and I could see a score line here. You're talking like 10-24, something like that. So bet 24 10 exact score, and you should cash out.
I don't want to be this guy, Ben, but teams that have not covered the spread the week before playing the teams that have covered the spread, I've hit 70% this year. The Falcons did not cover last week. The Patriots did cover this week. I will be taking the Falcons +7.
Hey, I don't need anything other than no points. So maybe the Falcons win that game outright by 30. As long as it's under 47, I'm good to go.
All right. Fair enough. Moving on, NFL locks. Let me do some quick perusing, give everyone a couple of seconds here to really hammer down on the game that they think is going to be their lock. Let me look. Oh, don't like that. I hate that. Oh, I love that. Oh, I hate it. I love it. I hate it. All right, Clayton, let's start with you. What is your lock, NFL?
All right, controversial take inbound. I am taking the Dallas Cowboys +2.5 against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Tactical nuke incoming.
I think everybody's going to overreact to
the V2 rocket.
The Chiefs being all the way back against the Raiders, and their offense being the offense of old. I was like that right when the game was happening. I was like, oh, they're back to there. They can just nuke it to Tyreek every play and score a touchdown whenever they want.
Oh, this is so ugly.
But this Cowboys team is really good. They have a really, really good defense, a really good secondary. I could see the Chiefs' problems coming back to them this week. I could see Patrick Mahomes maybe throwing a couple of interceptions. Maybe Diggs snags another one. So I like the Cowboys, maybe even to win outright. I might even money line them.
Oh, you tricky dog. All right. I'm taking the ugliest fucking game of the week. The Texans versus the Titans.
You.
The T versus the T. T versus T. Over 44.5 Texans and Titans.
Wow.
Yep.
I will not be watching to see if that hits.
Neither will I. But I'm pretty sure if you trusted me and you parlay these things, they will hit.
I believe.
Fuck it.
Yeah, you better believe.
The Titans might score that all on their own. So
that's what I'm hoping for. All right, Ben.
Okay. For my pick, I'm taking the Bears.
Ooh.
+4.5 against the Ravens. You ready for some analytics?
I'm ready.
I don't know why I'm taking this,
That's
but
good.
it just feels right in my soul that the Bears should be a 4-6 football team. They don't deserve to be 3-7.
They should have
That's
beaten.
why they are for sure.
They should have beaten the Steelers. That was bullshit.
Exactly. They are destined to be a 4-6 team. So they are destined to win.
Wait, great news for you as well, Ben. I just saw a tweet earlier tonight. Lamar Jackson this could be good or bad news. Lamar Jackson is sick. So that either means
flu game.
You have another Lamar Jackson diarrhea game, which means he comes out and he absolutely torches the Bears.
That's
or
true.
He just doesn't play at all.
That is true.
So,
well, I did not know this, but it makes me even more confident that the Bears deserve to be 6-4.
Lamar
Okay.
Jackson
4-6
is
rather.
shitting his pants.
Are you guys ready to hear the excitement?
I'm ready.
You take Houston -8.5, Pittsburgh -14.5, Syracuse +11.5, over 44.5. The Texans and the Titans, Dallas Cowboys +2.5, and the Bears +5, +4,851, $5 to win 247.55.
It's actually crazy that people go to work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
When you could just place
taking the
this one
free
bet.
money on this parlay. It's actually insane.
I just bet $5 on it.
I will put my account on it. I do not care. I'm retiring after this week. This is the one.
This is the one.
All of
It's
my
the
picks
one.
parlayed together gets me plus 9,156 odds.
You just gotta have one good week, just one killer week.
What are
That's all
throwing
it takes. You got to have the
5?
confidence to believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm. You really do.
I think this is the week I go undefeated.
This is the week. This is the one. This is the way. This is the way. All right. I am currently parlaying every single one of ours and throwing $5 on each one. All right. Done. I have $5 on a 6-leg parlay, a 5-leg parlay, or a 3-leg parlay, and a 3-leg parlay.
Easy.
This is the week,
lemon
boys.
squeezy.
This is the week.
Let's go. This
All
is
right.
the hottest week in the history of this podcast.
Unlucky to be one of the members of the
Unlucky to
Sparta
be
Boys
vague.
not on the podcast tonight.
Yeah, they're not going to hear it unless they listen to the episode. Then they get
Yeah.
a free huge winner.
Their pockets would be looking fat if
Yeah.
they listen.
Better listen. All right. Anything else you guys want to hit before we sign off on this one? This was an extra long one. We missed 2 weeks. This is a good welcome back episode.
It's a makeup episode.
Yes.
I don't have anything.
U.S. soccer beats Mexico. Let's fucking go.
Ankara Messi.
I thought they just played.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was very good. They won.
Oh.
It was wonderful.
What about when they tied Jamaica 1-1
against Jamaica? Embarrassing, but it's tough to win on the road.
Well, they're lucky that
Jamaica.
they're lucky that they even got a draw because they got lucky with an offsides and a header that would have put up Jamaica 2-1. But
Yeah,
you know, I'm a real footy fan, so I was watching it.
yeah, I know you.
Mhm.
Wait, how did you watch it? You got Paramount Plus?
I do have Paramount Plus.
You
Wow,
Lord. I was
what
trying
a
to
rat.
illegal stream it. I couldn't even get it.
What
Well,
a rat.
tough day to be a poor bitch, huh? Oh no, Northern Illinois is in overtime. I have to go watch. All right.
Only rats have Paramount Plus. So
Yeah,
that's
shut
okay.
up, shut up. I like the new iCarly TV show. All right. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for joining. Of course, go green.
Go
Go
away.
white.
All right. Peace.
See ya.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows,
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run.
but it ain't about how hard you hit.
Hit out the park, no question, with all due respect.
It's about how hard you can get hit.
And you might need, at some point in your life, a little massage on your ass.
And keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.